Welcome to NFT Art Talk. Join us live daily, Monday through Friday, for a new way to experience the NFT art scene. We'll be talking about what we are doing, the artists and artists that inspire us, and hot topics related to NFTs, art, music, fashion, and culture. Our primary focus is to have fun with new people interested in NFTs. Specifically, we will be focused on interviews with artists, top picks and new releases, hot topics, industry updates, our general thoughts and vibes. The community around NFTs is growing fast, and we welcome all to experiment, explore, and learn with us. Welcome to our community of acceptance and celebration. Make sure to like and subscribe to stay in touch, and you can always follow us on Twitter, where we host space daily. All links are in our bio or in the description below. In today's episode, the first episode, on February 22nd, 2022, 22222222s, we will introduce ourselves and talk about the evolution of creation and how it fits in with NFTs. Without further ado, my name is Moshe, aka DJ Fetus, and I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic to my co-host, Karthik.
Hey, appreciated, Moshe, for having me on the show. My name is Karthik, and I'm the co-host of NFT Art Talk. I'm originally from San Antonio, Texas. I live in Austin, Texas now. I'm a first-generation Indian American. I've been making art for the last 20 years of my life. I've been playing in a band called Our Band with Moshe for the last 15 years. In the last 6 years, I've been primarily diving into exploring my own brand, Karthik, with releasing visuals and music daily, weekly, and monthly. Currently, my NFT gallery has over 200 NFTs that basically convey my Eastern influences by growing up with my immigrant Indian parents, along with American pop culture, pop art, and pop music. I create every day just because it's the way I release everything I'm feeling in this world. And along with all those NFTs I'm releasing, I also have merchandise that you could buy with each one of those prints. So my belief is that the next great artist will be creating visuals, music, and then performing those art pieces live in a concert. So every day I work hard towards that goal, and my mind is 100% on this NFT space to grow it and grow a community with artists and just bring it out and make it out to the public so that the general mass public understand what an NFT is and how it does help art and culture.
Thanks, man. I'm so excited to be here with you. I also want to take a minute just to introduce myself and maybe also a little bit about how Karthik and I met. So Karthik and I both started a band about 15 years ago in Austin when we were both living there called Our Band. Honestly, we accomplished so many of our goals, dreams, life stories together, and then so only naturally as our band has progressed, as our side projects have progressed, we're coming back together to try to do something amazing with you guys. But now I'm in Dallas. For me, the NFT journey started about 9 months ago. I really noticed that a lot of my fellow artists were creating something that was getting them really enthusiastic and inspired, and I kept seeing people share them, and I was like, I just got to learn what I'm doing. So I hopped on Twitter, hopped on YouTube, and just started learning as much as I could. Really, it was all just a big experiment. So we can flash forward to today, where we're starting this talk show. We're hosting Twitter Spaces daily, and I have an NFT gallery here on OpenSea. You can see I'm just figuring it out. I'm trying out different styles, what meshes with me, what meshes with the people that are interested in what I'm doing. For me, it's really about this combination of music and art together. I'm super focused on the music clip and what NFTs mean to music. So I'm going to be releasing a new collection here in March with basically small clips of the music. If you get one of the NFTs, you'll be the only person that has an NFT with that track. And then kind of the exclusivity rarity in the collection will be more focused on, do you have an NFT that has a track that's been released or not? And that'll be some really interesting things. I'm excited to see where it takes us. And honestly, I've been vibing on these 8-bit characters. So I think they're going to find their way into everything. And really just this opportunity to be here and explore my art with so many different people and create these spaces where we can collaborate with new sounds, new places, and tap into this world's energy. That's what I'm here to do in this place. So, I know, Karthik, I don't know if you have anything else you wanted to add while we're just kind of vibing on who we are and what we do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, what inspires you to make your artwork, actually, man? I've known you for a long time, but maybe the public wants to know that, actually.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking, man. What inspires me is a lot of the just day-to-day life, and creating an escape for myself in my art. So just being able to unplug and tap into this energy that is just easy for me. So that's what I get from it. And then a lot of times what I'm trying to express through it is just what we can do together, or things that maybe I want to do in the future. So it's fun to use art, and what really inspires me is, using it as a way to communicate my feelings and the feelings of the world around me. That and collaboration, without a doubt. Like being able to get in a room with a bunch of people and play some music, or talk to my homie and make a track from across the country, and then talk to another homie and put some art on it in this NFT space. That just fires me up and inspires me to do more and more.
That's real cool, man. I definitely understand, because I think all art is inspiration, and definitely inspiration of the beings and the environments and the places you're at. Coming from that, what inspired you to actually create this channel and this NFT Art Talk to bring a community together?
Well, I'll tell you if you tell me, dude.
Well, man, I saw that, we've been playing music and in the arts and entertainment and promotion fields for a long time. So it was just kind of natural, knowing that, at least always talking to you on a daily basis, that we do have a lot of knowledge in this area for artists specifically. When I started going in these Twitter spaces, kind of checking out the whole NFT space, I saw a plethora of artists that are just asking questions of, how do I promote my NFTs? How do I create an NFT? What wallet do I use? What is crypto? These general kind of questions about this new space that's kind of nebulous to a lot of people, right? And what we realized, Moshe and I, was that, wow, we do have all this knowledge. Why don't we set up a platform that we could bring together people and actually give them like an artistic take on all this, actually, right? Not just the business side. We do have that aspect, but as an artist in general, we want to connect on that wavelength. So the best way for us to do it was kind of create this show, and not only have it on YouTube, but other social media platforms while we're promoting our art, to let all these artists know that we're not just a business, but we are the artist, and we are here for the artists. And I really believe this channel is for the artist, by the artist, and for the people who want to support the artist. And that's why I believe we created this channel, at least in my opinion.
Yeah, I think the only thing I have to add is that I think we're really excited to share like the stories of the people we meet, and hopefully get some of those people up here on the show with us, just talking about what inspires them and how they're doing what they're doing, and not just how they're marketing it, how they're selling it, how they're setting it up, but how are they creating it? How are they, like, what is it in that moment that makes them create? And honestly, what tools are they using? Because I know that's something else that you and I are going to talk about here in a minute, but also something that we're kind of blessed with, having 20 years of music in our life and art. We've kind of found ways to do it on all these different mediums. So I think sharing those stories is part of our community that we're building. And lastly, we want to build a community. We want to find a bunch of like-minded people that want to be entertained, want to have fun, don't want to be like creating all the time or pitching all the time or whatever all the time, just like want to have a moment just to chill. So I think that's really what we're doing here. We're going to try to vibe out on some cool music. I think it's going to be really cool.
Yeah, man, I think everything about this space is cool. When I went to investigate a lot of the community around it in Twitter and Discord and a couple of these other social media platforms. What I realized is that actually it's a worldwide community. So the coolest thing about it is you hear inspirations from all over the world. Typically, when you live in one place, you kind of get the media in that one place, get the stories in that place. But when you start hearing the stories of these artists from around the world, it really inspires you. Especially, I know me being American, when I hear these stories, they're saying that since we are in America, the tip of this NFT and community and movements kind of happening here. So they're always pitching, you know, and they sound so grateful that in some kind of way we're all connecting together and they're able to like actually sell their art once again, because a lot of these people felt defeated that no one would ever see their art. And now I'm realizing how much inspiration, how much glow happens when you hear these artists talk from around the world, that they're reinvigorated, that someone's actually interested in the art form that they're creating.
And, you know, just to add to what you're saying, we just have this opportunity as artists right now. It is, man. It's this incendiary connection that's happening in these spaces. You know, we're excited to bring it into YouTube. Like you said, we just don't see a lot of people here. And I will take this moment to say, anybody watching this interested, hit us up on Twitter, shoot us an email, however you can get in touch with us. We got all of our tags right there down below. If you want to come on here and talk about what's inspiring you, you know, because that's exactly what this is about. We're going to be experimenting with everyone there and anyone that wants to join this community, and trying out all new things, you know, namely like Karthik has masterminded some way to stream music in Twitter spaces. So we're going to even be like jamming in spaces, again, jamming on here, and taking this really exciting connection and just bringing whatever we can to it. Like Karthik mentioned a moment ago, it's like we have so much experience in this business world, but we're artists first. So, and that's one of the most exciting things that we're seeing in this NFT space together, is that artists are also having the opportunity to represent their art as their own businessman. There is no middleman. You know, I don't have a manager in the Twitter space for me talking about my story, reading it from a script, right? It's me in that space learning like, okay, I got to understand what people who are only financial want to hear about my projects, you know, and you know, I just think it's interesting to see how that's growing, you know, and obviously we're here to support anyone that we can, however we can.
Right, yeah, and you know, it's this NFT space is so new right now. So if you're learning about it, you're getting into it, you're at the beginning of it, and that's the truth. Our main important thing, what we're trying to do with this channel, is really educate and collaborate. And we're always here for y'all to answer y'all's questions. You could ping us anytime to get any kind of information and get any kind of insight, either on the artistic format of it or just understanding in general what NFT is, what is crypto, how do I utilize this in what I'm doing in my life, right? So I just believe, like me and Moshe, we're here to help. That's really the main cause of this.
Thanks. So just a quick recap here, and then I'd love to dive into our topic for today, or I guess maybe even a little bit of housekeeping. So Karthik and I are going to be here live daily, Monday through Friday, at least, and posting videos all these days. We're in Twitter Spaces a lot, hosting those and participating. We're on Twitter all the time, so make sure to hit us up in those spaces. And as far as the NFT Art Talk, the way we're going to start this out and structure is we're probably going to spend maybe 10-15 minutes just talking about stuff that we're excited about or inspired by, or maybe something new we released or we saw, or honestly we're both into fashion and sports. They might find their way in here, we're not going to lie. That first 10 to 15 is just let's have some fun and vibe and see where we're at, and then we're going to also try to pick a topic for each one of these. So the last kind of 10-15 minutes, something that maybe we've spent a lot of time talking about in a Twitter space with people, or we keep seeing it in our news feed, whatever it may be. We're going to try to take that last 15 to talk about what's popping in this NFT space. So Karthik, let's talk about the evolution of creation.
Most definitely, Moshe, and I'll talk about it through the lens of how we started our band and started creating music. First, technology was embedded in the music we're playing through first playing live through instruments. So you could look at like the guitar as a technology instrument. You could look at the drum as a technological instrument. You could look at the bass as a technological instrument. So what we learned from that is the chemistry of how to use that technology or that instrument to communicate between each other. From that point on, we realized, hey, we want to actually create a song. So we got an 8-track cassette tape that could multi-track. So basically different layers. What I mean by that is, you would have a bass track that plays the bass. You would have a guitar track that plays the guitar. You would have vocals that plays the vocals. And what we realized on that cassette recording, we're like, man, this is good, but we want better recording. So we ended up going to a plethora of studios in Austin, Texas. And what we learned is that typically in these prestigious studios, they have analog boards. What I mean is like mixing boards where you plug in your instruments and you record. Typically, these boards could range from like $50,000 to $500,000. So we ended up recording songs there, went through that whole process of paying to do that, and we would release into the world. And people like it, some people wouldn't, but it would still have an effect on the people. And that's the big thing as an artist. You just want to have effect from the people, from your art form. But one thing we did realize from that was like, okay, and we could create all this in the studio, but you're paying all this money. And how technology kind of splintered at that point, because we created our band in 2007, and that was the beginning of the smartphone, really. So while our band was growing, the smartphone was kind of proliferating around the world at that point. And what we started to realize, like, wait a second, like, when we go in the studio, we're recording on a computer at the end of the day, right? And what we realized, like, wow, well, the phone and the tablet, iPad are just computers that are smart screens and smartphones now. So it's like, okay, well, we could use this instrument, our technological instrument, which is the phone, to actually record our new set of songs. And I would typically use GarageBand in that. And it was so funny because we record all these songs in studios, and all these people tell us, like, you have to record this way and you have to do it this way. What I realized is when I actually recorded a song in GarageBand, I actually got it placed on a Spotify playlist, and it had 300,000 plays on it. So the whole idea of like, you need to go in the studio, you need to do it this way, it was almost null and void, right? Because if I could do something on my phone, right, that pretty much most people have in this world, and they were able to create something creative out of it and then release it to the world, it proved a point like, hey, you as an artist, it's never the limit of like what other people tell you. It's totally about like, what do you believe in? What limits are you going to take? Because as an artist, that's the lead you have to take. So it's just so interesting because now as this technology has grown with the smartphone, you see more people have the phone. You have this whole new sector that kind of arrived with the crypto, which is now the NFTs, where people are trading these digital assets or, digital video art pieces, digital music, right? And people want to buy that because now in the blockchain, it could be recorded forever. It's almost like a digital receipt that you did purchase this item or this artifact, right? And people can verify like, yeah, that's the original. So now you've kind of created a collectibles market in this whole NFT space that music and art is almost like the foundational element of it now. And that's why it's so interesting because at least from a music spectrum, it started out with just playing an instrument. And now it's in our lifetime, in the 15 years that have passed, it's almost transitioned to this place now where people actually want to buy digital art that you create from digital means. So it's always cool to see how arts and technology have always mixed together, honestly, because through our 15 years, we've seen that in so many aspects. And now it's so interesting because now you actually have a community of a lot of these people in crypto, right? They made money holding crypto and believing in Bitcoin and that whole culture, right? And, they might have made the money, they might have toured the world, right? But at the end of the day, they're like, well, we just want to bring this type of culture to the other people, right? And I think a lot of the people in that sector realize like, wow, all the artists really create a lot of the culture around us. Because if you look at like anything we see on the internet, artists either design your profile pic, artists either design the video you're distributing, artists design the music. And now, because these people in the crypto culture want to get a lot of people involved, the arts is the first installment of that, basically. So now you have actually a community, actually a group of people that are they're connoisseurs of the arts, which is so great because in every century, every time, every decade, there's always a new artistic or renaissance evolution or revolution in arts. And that is what is occurring in the NFT space now. And it's so great because if you dedicated your life to the arts or understanding the arts or just loving the arts, a whole new universe has opened up for everybody in that. And it's just so inspirational, basically, because it's one of those things like, keep with the art, always do the art, because if you do that, you don't know what's going to happen. But as long as we keep on evolving as a human species, people are always going to love art. They're always going to love music. So it's so intricate and so integral that we teach everybody and teach younger generations that it's about keeping art and music in your life. And this is just a new way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, that, that was really powerful. Thanks for bringing that to us, and it's really fascinating to be participants in this evolution of creation from, analog to digital, from smartphone to Genius phone. Even just being a creator in the development of Web 2 and then now being a creator in the development of Web 3 and just being able to participate in those spaces has been so valuable to us. And, the perspective that I keep getting from that perspective is that what we're seeing is that because of this evolution of the phone, of this technology, and the integral role that the creators are playing, like you talked about, people are doing it all over the place, because all you need is your phone now, right? All you need is a smartphone. You can make music, you can create digital art, you can upload it to your wallet or to OpenSea, you can sell it, you can get on Twitter, you can self-promote it, you can even record one of these YouTube videos and put it up on YouTube. You can do this, and you can be anywhere in the whole world doing it, right? And that's why Web3 makes so much sense, right? We like that connection. I love logging into Twitter Space and talking to Tito in another country for 4 hours about art, or talking to NFT Art Zone about how we're both making all these NFTs on our phones,
Definitely, man. And I'll even go to a further point. Look, we're playing as a band, and we're creating music. We're entrepreneurial on so many things to promote it. And the pandemic happened in 2020. Touring stopped. A lot of our entrepreneurial goals just had to go to a halt. And honestly, for myself, I was just like, okay, I guess music and art are just going to be a part of my life just because I need to do it. And I didn't have any second thoughts like, man, someone going to buy it or anything like that. It was just more so like, I'm just going to do this personally for myself because it feels great. And it feels great for the people around that I get to share the art and they share it back. But it was more in the kind of like a physical space. You would have a couple of these Web 2.0, like Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, where you could share it. But, honestly, I thought like, man, it would just be like, I would just be doing that for fun forever. And which is fine. And I believe you have to always have that mentality, right? And then out of nowhere, you see the NFT community, start happening. And I was so surprised by that it re-inspired me. And then when I saw other people getting re-inspired, because they might have went through the same things we went through, right? Thinking their art would never, see the light of day. No one would ever want to see it. No one would want to share it. And to see where it's at now, where people want to share it and see it, it's mind boggling, right? And it's almost like, I tell people, like, very rare in life you get a second chance. This new NFT movement has given a second chance to so many artists and so many people. And that in itself, I really believe creates a inspirational, positive change vibration to everybody and everything on this earth.
Right. And no, I totally agree with that. The energy that it creates is something that is fascinating. You and I are known to go a million directions. So I'm going to slightly bring it back to evolution of creation. But I did want to acknowledge, because this energy that's getting pushed through these spaces and this creative expression it's been a long time coming. And I think that's how it ties into this evolution, because now smartphones are not new. You've been able to do music on your phone or with your instruments. You've been able to create art and the physical world, in the digital world, styluses. I mean, there's a million ways to do it, right? Creating videos, all these different things. And now what do we have as artists? We have this abundance of content, right? That's something that we've, as a band, and me and Karthik have noticed a lot. Like, one thing that is really making us prone to this is it's like we have hundreds of songs. We have so many videos that we've created that are just fun, unique, original stuff that we've done. And it's impossible to consume all of that in your standard artist bubble, right? Like, our fans, thousands of fans still would, how are they going to comb through, 100,000 hours of music or something crazy, right? They can't. But now, guess what? I can take those and I can put them into NFTs, and I can get them to NFT artists. I can say, hey, I got so much music, you have so much art, like, let's get this together. Like, we're talking to our homie Mofos all the time. He's like, dude, my house is overflowing with art. I don't even know what to do with it anymore, And what are we going to do with it? We're going to do the same thing that we do with, like, my kids' pictures from schools. We're going to take a picture of it, and we're going to keep it in our digital wallet, and that's what's happening. Like, artists, everyone, marketers, business people, everyone has so much content out there. There has to be some way to, like, bring it into an organizational process, even just so that we can consume it and it can get its chance to shine. I mean, I know you and I are blessed because, we're coming from this position where it's like, dude, we've just been creating so much, like, and a lot of artists are like, it's hard to find that vibe, but that is where we're going. Not everything has to be, even if you think of, like, people who are painting, right? Not everything has to be a mural on the wall. You can get on your phone, do some stuff on Canva, squiggle some things with a stylus, just to, like, give your fans something to experience and be a part of your community. And that's what we're looking at, I think, with as this art and content creation has evolved.
Yeah, man, like, going on that evolution of creation, what's so interesting about it right now is exactly what you said. You have these artists kind of inspired to create more, or find other artists to encourage them to create more. And what's occurring from that is so crazy with this crypto realm is you also have people in this crypto culture that knew about computers, computer programming, and AI. So now you're having these 10,000 piece collections, like you might have heard of Bored Ape Yacht Club or CryptoPunks. Well, those collections, initial artists might have drawn like basic layers, maybe like a mouth, eyes, different stylings of that, right? And then they ported that into like an AI computer program that mixes it all up, jumbles it all up, and then they release that out as 10,000 different unique pieces, right? So this is where it gets interesting, because, like, as a human creating art, to create 10,000 art pieces, you probably have to be doing that the whole lifetime. You have to be creating a lot of art, like, every single day. It's almost unfathomable, really. Though I do believe, like, you're supposed to create art every day. You have to do that. It's important because now you have a battleground between, like, well, what's the difference between AI art and human art, right? And, like, what does it mean to the consumer or the person who just likes it? And it's all, perception and hype. But in the end of the day, I always say, like, I'll always push for, like, I want more humans to always create art and collaborate, because we have to look at these computer programmers and these people who do that. They're artists as well. They just learned that type of tool, like the computer and program, and they artistically express themselves through that. So it's interesting to see what is about to happen, right? Because I feel like there's going to be a convergence of these artists who do create their original material that are going to meet these computer programmers in the crypto space that are champions for the artists. Like, they fight for the artists, because they even see some of these AI programs that create these 10,000 piece artworks. Maybe the initial artist that invested in it or created the artwork is not getting, like, a good proportion of the investment, right? So then you have people in that crypto culture understanding, like, well, hey, we don't like, people getting taken advantage of from that, right? So now you have this underground community, right, where you have artists trying to get their artwork out. you got computer programmers who feel they're artists as well, which I totally agree, right? They could create 10,000 pieces faster than I could create 10,000 pieces. But it's like, yo, you got the power. We got the power. How do we combine it all together, right? To really make this place, this world, in my belief, a better place where every single human has art around them. Every single human creates art, and everybody looks at each other like a creative artist human being. And I really believe that's this next evolution, or these next, few years of what's going to happen. It's going to be really cool. Like and it's all about like those people and those humans and those artists who stay engaged in this environment and believe in their art, that a lot of great things are going to happen to those people, in my opinion.
I know. And how about just like the relief, right? Like of pressure for so many artists in this new world where like the standard is 10,000, you know what I mean? And like so many artists are like afraid to release that one track because it might not sound good and someone might not like it. Well, guess what? You got to get a bunch of music out now because that's the way we do it. And secondly, quit thinking about who's not going to like it and start thinking about who is going to like it. Adapt. Like I'm adding to what you're saying. Like, yes, we have this environment now to be inspired. We have this medium to get more runway for our art than ever before, with the accessibility of print on design merch, streaming services, NFT art, just the metaverse, which I'm sure we'll get into in other episodes. Just all of these opportunities to get that runway for your art. And now with the evolution of creation, it's easier than ever. You can find apps on your phone and produce high quality video. You can just record yourself in your house, like Karthik said, and get 300,000 streams on Spotify. You can do these things because art has evolved to this. And the reason for that is because artists said, this is the way we want it. Right. And artists came along to these big companies and said, hey, I need to do this right now. This is what I want to do. Like, why are you hating on me? I want control of my own career. I want control of my own life. And that's where art has evolved, and, so I think this is a really interesting conversation because, what we're hoping everyone can see is that, these NFTs it started in these rooms where artists were just confined to that room, and then this desire to say, I want to see the whole world and I want to make this a lot easier, and then technology just assisted these artists to get that creation up to this point where now artists can collaborate with programmers to develop 10,000 art pieces that are passed on to somebody else. It's easier than ever to build the team. It's easier than ever to get yourself out there. And it's interesting to see how this has evolved. Karthik, I have a question for you though, before we get off of this video. Like, how is this is art gonna suffer? Because it's so easy.
Man.
Like you said, like I want the same thing you want. I want everyone to pick up their phone and try to create something every day and put that out there for me to try to listen to or read. I don't care if it's music, poetry, videos, GIFs, memes, technology, building, whatever it is. But is it going to suffer?
In reality, I don't think so, because the more art you're surrounded by, the more inspired you become. And that's my belief. And rarely when we see things or hear things, unless the person investigates, like, who is that? They're just looking at the art piece or listening to music as to, like, what is that vibing to them? Now, I believe a world with more of that is just going to be a better place. Like, now, whether it's human or AI made, that's debatable to the artist at what it means to them. But in reality, I think having more art in the world is a good thing, if not a great thing, right? Because in my belief, I'm fortunate to be in Austin, so I could go into spaces where they'll have, graffiti art, different visual artists, right? Now, I always said to myself, like, man, I wish every city was like that. Like, we could go walk around everywhere and you would just see art everywhere, right? Well, that's kind of happening in the metaverse now, right? Because it's a little hard to go into physical places, do all that, right? But in a metaverse or internet space, you could create it on your phone and release it. So I don't think the art suffers, honestly, man. I think it inspires more people to like create better art. Even when I see these 10,000 galleries, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna one day make a 10,000 gallery. You know, when I meet the right people or programmer. But also, it inspires me because it's like I want to make better art than like a Bored Ape Yacht Club or a CryptoPunks, right? Which is why I was like, okay, I'm always gonna tie music and visuals because I just see like people are more entertained by like a video, basically, right? But seeing all the art, you know, happen as it's going on right now, and people wanting to buy it and wanting to be a part of it, I think it just invigorates everybody. Honestly, I mean, you could say it deteriorates the art, but it's like, man, in this world, you just have so many humans creating art, and I think in the end, humans want to connect with other humans. Honestly, whether it's like in the metaverse or you know here, it's still like they want that tinge of that human condition, right? So it's like, man, AI is making the art, whatever. If you could see that and you're like, wow, that's going to inspire me to make my next art piece, I don't think that's necessarily bad. I think that's actually a good thing.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think it's an old story that you have to have like this thing that's like blah blah blah. You know, that's an old story. Sorry, that didn't make any sense. Let me describe this thing that's blah blah blah. You know, so you have to have this special release and you can't release anything else until this one release comes out, and you're only allowed to put out X number of songs or X number of art pieces or X number of photography, because if you put out too much, something this and that's going to happen, and it's going to hurt you, and it's going to hurt you the value of your work, and it's going to hurt all of these different things, right? And that was something I heard in a space yesterday, talking to someone that's come into our spaces, Lex, right? That we like about pricing, right? And it's like, I actually really liked what the hosts were saying. They were saying, you know, price things at what you feel is what it should be in your heart. Like, you know, you're the artist, you know, but it also, you know, doesn't mean that you can't release 15 other photos that maybe are priced a little bit less because they're less rare in your heart, right? Like, that's enough. And because, you know, that's pricing logic, but it's the point of it is like, you don't have to like build everything up to one thing anymore in art, right? Like, this is an international space, especially if you're here in NFTs, right? Where there are way more people than you will ever have pieces of art. I can guarantee you that are on Google, on YouTube, on Twitter, searching things, and even in the metaverse, on OpenSea, wherever that is. It is just this whole logic of like, you know, I can only have this one thing. Put out what you express yourself first, then worry about your strategy of like how you're going to release something. And I'm going to contest, especially in the context of this conversation, don't be limited to one or two things. Express yourself in many different ways. It's easier than ever to do that with technology, and you can go find that inspiration easier than ever, right? If you don't, like Karthik said, if you don't live in Austin and you can't go to the nearest bar or the closest music meetup or whatever it is that inspires you, jump on Twitter and find those people in a space. Like, go watch a YouTube, get in a Reddit conversation, jump on Discord, go to Twitch. Like, look, I can list this. I could spend another 20 minutes just listing all the places you can connect with people online. But for the sake of time, I won't do that. I will, for the sake of time, start to wrap this up. I'm going to pass the mic to Karthik, but before I do that, I want to say thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. If you want to hear anything else about what we've talked about here or any topics you want to see on our show, just leave those for us down as comments. I'm going to remind you again, like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter. All the handles are here. Thanks so much for coming to hang out with us today. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And you guys are awesome. Karthik?
Yeah, just some final thoughts. I appreciate all y'all being here. Reach out to us anytime. We're always going to be available to everybody. And the last thing I'm going to say is, in my life, I feel like art and music saved my life, because I was growing up as a first generation Indian in Texas, and I couldn't necessarily express myself the way I wanted to. But art did that for me. And I now see that, like, man, art did so much in my life that I have to give that back to other people. And what that really means is always create art, always create the things you love to do, and know that there are artists like us here to support, and you're not in this alone. And the journey is what it is all about. It's not about selling the art piece or just being known, right? It's the journey of creating the art and always inspiring the people around you.
Amen. This has been great. Thank you so much. We'll see you guys tomorrow.